My name is Amy Sillman, and my studio is in Southold on the North Fork. I had no idea about the collection before, because I think one often doesn't know about collections, what's really in a collection. It's always mostly not shown. So you see the greatest hits, and I kind of knew some of the greatest hits that are here. But I was really curious to go dig into the collection's lesser known artists and lesser known works and see like where it proliferated, where it lacked. I mean, for an example, there was this artist Connie Fox, whom I had not heard of, who actually sadly passed away during the period that we were curating or we were choosing. And then I read about her in the paper, and she was kind of on my short list anyway. And I read these amazing things about her, that she was a dedicated painter, a really interesting painter out here, I think on the South Fork. And I thought, okay, let's put her in. And at some point it started, at one point it was maybe gonna just be Saul Steinberg, because I love Saul Steinberg. He's literally I think he's the reason I'm an artist, honestly. For long reasons I could explain another time. But at one point I thought maybe I should just select him, because there's a lot of work by him in the collection and it's wonderful work. But it broadened itself. And then as an artist, I'm really interested in this forceful, kind of aggressive way of like pitting abstract structure against image kind of fragment. And so given my interest in puncturing each of those two sides of what you could call a binary with each other, I wanted to expand outward from that kind of position and put people together who somehow ran a gamut from purely abstract work like Agnes Martin, that's completely just a gray slab over a black slab, to like something like Saul Steinberg that's literally a cartoon about soldiers. And then I just thought at one point, let me just be completely straightforward and put it in a row. And I literally took all the stuff that I had picked, and of course there were millions of things that I couldn't fit in. I could have had a show that was 3 times as big. I think that's just my way, because I've done collection curation before, and I've always had to cut out way more than I showed. So I put everything in a row in my room, like on a Xerox, and I tried to figure out a visual logic that would literally link from one thing to the next. And that meant, in some cases, that I had to cut things out that I would really love to have included, but I needed a link that made Sidney Albertini go to Trevor Wingfield, go to Joe Zucker. In certain cases, I needed something that bridged something that was two things next to each other. So there was a tremendous visual gamesmanship, and this is a kind of game that I love. Well, the work I chose here just happened to be a work that I had done in Southold this summer. It's called The Banana Tree, and it's kind of I think it's one of the weirdest paintings I made in the last few months. It's a picture of, it's a picture, it's not a picture, but it's a sort of structure of interruption where this kind of insistent, almost calligraphic black shape that's almost like a C or a wedge or a wrench or something keeps kind of butting in on what looks like maybe a kind of yellow and black or blue and yellow and black kind of tree form. And then there's this bright yellow that's kind of behind it, but this black keeps interrupting it. And it was a very funny, weird painting that wasn't like all the other paintings I was doing this summer. It was slow, kind of agonized. It was a real troubling and troubled painting to make and to try to resolve. And I kind of left it as like it's literally like a jigsaw puzzle that can't fit and is having a fight with itself. That's what that painting sort of is to me. And so I was like, there's pattern, there's color, there's shape, there's this jagged thing, and then underneath, if you say Banana Tree is the title, everyone goes, oh yeah, there are the bananas. So you can kind of ignore the sort of theme, or you can just resolve the problem of the painting by the title. And so this kind of relationship between language and image is very, that's what I do all day. That's all I do, is go in and out of language. I wanted Charlotte Park in the show. I had seen her work for the first time at the Parrish in the show that was was about women working out east, that I was in. And when I came here, I saw also the Pearl Fine was in there. There might have, and there were probably other pieces that overlapped, but the Pearl Fine and the Charlotte Park were fabulous paintings that really blew my mind when I came out to that show. There were so many other things that could have been in this lineup, so many things. I mean, it was agony to cut people. But the Charlotte Park stated itself with brilliant color. And like I said, my painting was sort of about the war between black and yellow, you know, as colors. And then there was like kind of this Charlotte Park thing where it was really a painting of orange and black. And it was almost the black, like I felt connected to it because it was like in my painting, almost forming into a figure, but it was never quite clinched as a figure. So then there was this moment where I found the Lester Johnson drawing of a man with a pole, and I was doing this kind of visual, like I said, this kind of hyperlinking, and I was like, wow, if you put Lester Johnson's drawing of a man with a pole right next to Charlotte Park's, you start to see the possibility of a figure in her work, and vice versa. You see the abstraction in his drawing. And then of course I had Betty Parsons, who could come right into the middle and be a shard like what I had in my painting, but a blown out one that was really emptied. And so I was kind of trying to build this language of shard, fragment, shattered thing that kind of comes together as a figure and then erases the figure itself. I wanted to really establish the line as a line of thought, as a sentence, as a mood swing. That's the thing I was kind of writing about and thinking about, is literally like, what is a mood swing? A mood that swings from very somber abstraction all the way to like chaos and into laughter, like almost uncomfortable laughter. And so I wanted the line to represent a narrative. It's a sequence of steps that actually does make a describable, logical meaning. I wanted people to understand immediately from a visual perspective that this is a lineup and see it in a row. For me, the role of the Parrish is very kind of what I believe a museum does for me always, which is that it provides me with a hub where I can see serious work and where I can think about the unpacking of works in real life, not just in books. I am deeply happy that this beautiful building exists. The architecture is important to me too, because it's not in a shed, it's in this amazing hall. For me, it's all about the work. It's all about the art and the commitment to really serious collecting and serious art that could be kind of like what you do after you move here. Like a bunch of people move here and then you like have a bunch of more people who love those people, and then at that point, if they stick their little stick in the ground and say, we're gonna make a building that really shows, preserves, and honors all of these amazing people who are here, that is a museum.